Welcome to Veriglow. This is my YouTube channel. I'm Megan, and I just wanted to make a little video about my testimony. I am Christian. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I have a lot of goals for this channel, a lot of cool projects I want to do, but one thing that I have been thinking about is just kind of documenting my testimony. I was thinking about once a year. We'll see if I feel like I should do it more often, but I wrote a few little things down that I'd like to share. The first thing is I know I'm a child of God, and what does that mean to me? Well, right now, in this season of life where I have a couple little kids, and I've been learning a lot as a parent, a new parent, very fresh, very inexperienced, and just flying by the seam of my pants. I don't know what the phrase is, but seeing God differently now that I'm a parent, even though I haven't gone through all the different phases yet, I still get to reflect a lot about what God might be feeling as all of us, his children, are being mad at him or saying something or questioning or praying or whatever. And it has been very interesting and helpful. I think it's great that I've been able to think about that, because it's helped me love God better. I have been mad at God a lot, and I think there's just some like trials or like things about my church culture or answers I don't have yet that I've been really passionate about and confused about, and you know, I had some really hard trials that were just so painful that, like, you know, it's really hard in the moment to be grateful and positive. But I have one experience I can share about one of my kids. I have a son, and I think he can get kind of anxious like me sometimes. And we're at this park across our street. There's a park right in front of our house, and there's a tree there, and I think he might have said, "I want to climb it," and then he was starting to get afraid. But then I was like, "No, you gotta do this," because I had been thinking that day, like, I need to push him, I need to push our kids to do hard things. And then so I was like honing in all the patience that I could muster to try to just be like, "No, you can do it. You can do it. I'm right here. I'm not letting go. I'm not gonna go away. I'm gonna catch you if you fall. I'm right here." And just repeating until he let me actually help him up the tree. And then he was really happy that he did it. And then he was like, "Okay, now I want to get down. I'm scared." And I helped him get down. And then he was like, "I want to climb it again." And I was so excited for him. I was like, great. Like, even if he's acting scared and like he wants to get off really fast, he's like, "Actually, I would love to try again." And like just seeing that was really hopeful for me. But while I was standing there and telling him those nice things over and over and over, I had the thought in my head that was like, "God's doing this for you." And that was powerful for me because it doesn't feel like that a lot. And I mean, I'm just so anxious all the time that it's hard to hear him, probably, that he's right there. And he's saying, "You're not gonna fall, I'm gonna catch you, I'm right here," over and over and over. And he has way more patience than I had that day. I'm not that patient. I'm not a very patient mom. I mean, I guess like every mom's flexing their patient muscle, but you know, it's like God has an infinite amount of patience, and he's trying to get through, and he is like the most persistent patient parent. And I'm probably gonna skip down to something I was gonna say later, but this thing that it's adversity, you know. Adversity is, we have to do it ourselves, and if we don't do it, we're not going to get stronger. And that feels so hard to hear when you're in such a struggle, and you wish God could help you. But he's right there. I imagine it like a bird. I feel like everyone uses this example, a bird hatching from an egg. And the bird is so tiny and frail and small and can't do anything yet. So the smallest little thing, the first thing they gotta do is break open the shell, push out, or else they're not gonna live. They're not gonna be strong enough to even do anything else after that. So God sitting there watching me try to push out of my shell by myself, and I'm just struggling and stumbling and crying and pouting, and he really, really wishes he could help. But if he did, it would mean I'm donezo. So, you know, like when you're in the shell, you feel like he's being so cruel and taunting you. He's right there, but the cruel thing would to be, the cruel thing to do would to help and like forfeit all the strength you could have gained through that hard challenge, you know? So it's really tough to think about. It hurts, but I have been learning that that is what kind of position God is in. And he loves us so, so much, but has to sit there sometimes while we're struggling, and it hurts him too. And I'll share this other thought I had. Just on my mission in the MTC, they were having these like, what's it called? I don't know what it's called, but they have people come in, and they said that they were real investigators. I think one of them was a real investigator, and the other one was actually a member because someone said they saw him in the temple later. But the other one, so they had all these missionaries in the same room and one investigator, and all the missionaries are sitting in chairs like facing the investigator. And now the missionaries call them friends. They're not supposed to use the word investigator anymore. Okay. A person learning about the church. That's pretty overwhelming. I hadn't thought about how overwhelming that is to have so many people trying to teach you one person. Anyway, they have a mic, they're passing it around. The girl that's learning, she's talking about something about, she has a question, and the other missionaries are trying to answer it, but like it felt like whatever they're saying wasn't right. They were saying stuff like, well, you just gotta repent, you just gotta pray more, you know, then you'll feel like God's there or something. I think that was like the effect it was having. And the next thing she said was, well, what are you supposed to do when you're a child being abused and God says nothing when you pray in the moment of the abuse, you know? And that was like so intense the whole room was just like silent for a moment, and I felt like my heart racing, and I felt like I needed to say something. And I mean, I had never felt something so strongly in my soul before. As I was talking, I said something like people get to make choices even if they're bad, and God is sad with you while you're going through that. He's crying with you. And I felt just like this like rumbling in my soul. It was crazy. And I was like, I could almost not speak, but somehow got it out. And that little experience has stuck with me. That's like, you know, we can try and do all that we can and want to do, but like there's still gotta be a struggle. Struggle is necessary. And He's providing an atonement to heal our hearts, even if it's not right now. That is another thing that has kind of been painful to hear for me, is that you gotta wait sometimes to be healed. And also, I mean, this is a whole other thing to explain, but you know, there's Elder Holland of the apostles in our church. He spoke about Jesus and broken things to mend. There was a beautiful talk called Broken Things to Mend, and that touched my heart when I was younger, and I asked for a necklace that said that for Christmas, and my mom got it for me. And I always thought that the meaning I took from the talk was that I would be Jesus's hands. I would help him mend the broken things. And I thought I was gonna do all the work to like fix my heart as well when I had my own owies. I'm a toddler mom, sorry. And but I recently learned I'm not the one doing any of the healing at all, ever, in anyone, in myself, none. It's Jesus, because I really listened to that talk recently, and I learned it was Jesus's job, not mine. And that was also a little bit hard to hear, but then I was just like, well, like, when's he gonna do it? When's he gonna heal my heart? I'm tired of waiting. I would like to stop being in pain. Thank you. And I mean, he's teaching me patience, but also I think that there are like certain things that are necessary for me to go through to end up being healed, like the parenting. Like I needed to become a parent to start learning more about God. I mean, not everybody has to do that way, but that's just my own path. And so I had a lot of other things to say here. I don't want this to be super long, but let me see what else. The most important thing is our relationship to God and Jesus. Our covenants, the promises we make when we get baptized, when we get married in the temple in our church, you know. We are making promises, but we're also receiving a promise from God, and we're learning how to live in a way that brings us closer to Him. So it's not just rules, but it is our bond to Him. Our promises are our bond to Him, and those should be a very sacred thing. And doing the small and simple things every day, like praying and reading scriptures and going to temple and taking the sacrament, those are always going to be the basics. And there was a quote my husband said one time: a master thinks he's never mastered the basics. I think it's something like that. And I like that way of thinking, because it's like, well, anybody that's like good at anything is always trying to be practicing the most important, like the most essential practices that help them do a good job. And so we always need to be working on the basics. That's why, because those are the way to be close to God, to hear answers from Him, to bring the Spirit into our lives. That's just how it works. And if we're not doing those things, then we shouldn't be looking for deeper doctrine. Because I have a thing to say about deep doctrine. So on a mission, we get study time. I went on a mission to Bolivia. I was there for a year and a half. I was a missionary. And we get time to study just by ourselves, and then we get time to study with our companions. And they gave us lots of things. They said study this and this and this, like, so you can be good at teaching the lessons. And I feel like I was bored of that stuff. I was like, that's easy, that's simple, I already know everything. But it's like the master needs to master the basics, or whatever the phrase is. And obviously, if I could go back and tell myself as a missionary what to study, I would tell myself to do the boring things, because I wasted a lot of time trying to figure out, like, what's it called in English? Revelations, the last book in the Bible, I think. The New Testament, right? It's the last book in there? Or is it the last book in... I can't remember. Who cares? I'll find out later. I'm gonna go look at that book and find out. But I would try to figure out all these really deep things and try to understand things that were just kind of extraneous, and ask all these really, really crazy questions. Usually people didn't ask us those kinds of deep questions. I feel like in Bolivia they just really liked talking about the simple, normal stuff normally. So it was kind of funny that I wanted to spend so much time doing all that, and I left the study feeling like even more questions. Not like it's good. It's good to question, but it would just make me feel more confused and just be like, well, I don't understand what's going on. And then the study time is meant to uplift you and refill you and all that. And I wasn't always, I did sometimes, I'll give myself some credit. The thing that would help me is if I found a quote or a scripture, and then I would write it on a little note card and put it in my little quote box. That's the way that I felt like I could actually feel uplifted and remember something. But if I was just reading, trying to understand some random thing, it was like going to the gym and trying to figure out what's the best exercise for this little muscle right here. Just that one. It's just an example. It's not the perfect example. And then never doing the basics like a squat, a lunge, a crunch, walking on the treadmill, just finding the most random little things to try to nitpick at, but never strengthening the overall body, I feel like that's the way you think about not doing the basics. It's just kind of silly. So I'm a rambler. Welcome to the rambling channel of YouTube. Yeah. Let's just say I've learned that the basics are the most important thing, and there are a lot of things I'm trying to learn right now. I've been learning more about how to take care of my body. I've been learning more about music and how to be a musician I'm not good at it, but it's okay to not be good, and just keep trying and practicing. And that struggle is key to growth. I'm trying to learn some things about art. I feel like I've really learned a lot about how much I need to learn. And there's a lot of practice I need to do in a lot of these different goals I have, a lot of these different areas. And that's okay and that's good. And I'm looking down the barrel of a lot of work, a lot of good hard work that will reap rewards if I just remind myself that this is gonna do something. I just gotta keep at it, you know? So I don't know, that's connected to testimony for me because it has to do with doing basic things. I feel like everything's connected spiritually. Like if you understand something spiritually, it can apply to a lot of the different things you're trying to do in your life. So that's, in case you're confused, that's my explanation. I don't really know yet what the audience is that I might try to be making things for on YouTube, but I just want to be myself, and I'm trying to not think too hard about what that means, or else I'm going to be way too scrupulous and anxious and not prolific enough. So I am just going to do stuff. Let's see how that goes. And if you want to join me on this journey of doing stuff and growing, you're welcome to join. Love you guys, whoever you are. Have a great day.